Well, whatever. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm not ready.
Oh, well, you have to be ready now. Welcome, guys. This is JP for Treksphere Live. On our first, first. James was supposed to be hosting this podcast. However, he cannot be found, and I decided to take it upon myself to, well, keep the appointment. So I am joined here today, replacing our beloved master, James. I am joined by Jeff and David. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Who very generously donated their time at the very last minute, at the top of the hour, to, give their opinions and talk about stuff.
That's right.
So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. As I was saying before the show, I actually recorded a similar show in French for my French version of this podcast. So I'm quite in the mood to talk about Discovery. And
Aren't we all?
and actually, I just came from the comic book shop, which I got number 4 of the Transformer Star Trek crossover comic.
Oh,
Which is absolutely ridiculous in a fun kind of way, though I gotta say.
sort of like Discovery's second season premiere.
Yeah, you can say that. It's the Transformers is the kind of, it has all the cheesiness of both Transformers and the animated series. Like you take all that cheese and melt it together, and you got a very unique comic book. And I also got my hands on the Star Trek Waypoint special number 1, which features 4 short stories. One is with Ezri Dax, the other with Q, another with Data, and another one with, I haven't quite read it yet. So, but it's I read the first 2 ones. The one with Ezri, it's being visited. It's kind of, she's in emergency situations, and her past selves help her out of a tough situation. It's really kind of cute. And the second one is very interesting. It's basically Q dealing with baby V'ger as he was born.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's, this whole comic book is, I wouldn't say emotional, but, they try to, it's not action, it's there's a bit of introspection through those stories, which I believe makes it very interesting. Otherwise, well, we were supposed to talk about why we're doing this podcast, to introduce, this new show. Again, James, if you see this video, you're welcome to join your own podcast anytime.
Yeah, we miss you. We miss you, buddy.
Yeah, he's hailing from the UK. It's midnight over there, but surprising thing, he's, I wouldn't say it's surprising thing, but he's always there.
Always.
He's always online to diss some S.
Yeah.
But now he cannot be found. I don't know if I should be worried. It's
I don't know.
But you know what? It's all about having fun and talking. Star Trek Discovery Season 2 Episode 1, Brother, which premiered last Thursday.
Yep.
And actually, Canada got to see it 30 minutes before everyone else. So
that's right. We're lucky.
Oh, you're Canadian too.
That's right, eh?
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Well, sorry, on the internet, you assume everyone's American.
I know. I get it all the time.
Lucky guy.
What part of Canada you hail from?
I'm from Ontario, Southwestern.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in Quebec City. So we're not
so
so
you're
far
not
together.
too far. Yeah.
Yeah. And where's our other friend hailing from?
From the void, apparently.
Yeah. Jeff? Are you there, Jeff? Mr. Lincoln? No?
Come on, Jeff. Are you there?
Wow. Can't believe we're doing this. That was a very dubious idea, but I'm still running with it. James, it's your fault.
That's right. We blame you.
We set an appointment. We're there. You're not. What's going on? So, so we saw, we saw it 30 minutes before everyone else, but, with the ads, I guess in the end, we kind of finished it all at the same time. So, because,
yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, we got by the way, that was a full hour trek, like a 59-minute, 51 seconds episode. I think that was the longest single episode ever.
Really? Well, it was amazing.
Yeah. It was quite the I mean, it show. I think there's a visible desire from the production team to show, like, yo, we shook up things. This is not Brian Fuller. This is not season 1. Like there's a few moments in the episode where you feel like they were actually talking to the audience.
That's right. You can tell that they made a conscious effort to listen to the fan base and to make some changes according to what fans were saying.
Yeah. I mean, just the line where Pike says, like, sometimes you got to lower your expectations and you won't be disappointed. It's like, whoa, okay. and and that part with, although I guess any sensible...
With Saru on the bridge?
Yeah.
Where...
But, I mean...
That was also...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. That part with Saru on the bridge also felt very Star Trek-like when he said, "Are you surprised?" It felt like it contained fun that maybe season 1 wasn't really exploring. Not that it lacked fun, but it just wasn't exploring to the fullest like Star Trek had previously.
Yeah. And, well,
Okay.
hi.
Oh, there he is. Transmission
we have a
received.
Jeff.
Okay, yeah, no.
You can use Morse code if you want.
I mean, they did that on the last Discovery episode, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, that was another kind of, it wasn't like laugh out loud funny, but it's like a little series of little winks. It's like just gives the a little bit of levity to the whole thing, and I think I don't know if I want it more or less. I think maybe just a little bit less for future episodes. Although, they were setting the tone.
That's right. That's what I felt.
Minuet would say, like, it is you who set the tone.
Yes.
But although, it was all good fun. And I was about to say, another thing that was very interesting is, which I liked, is although we who watched all the promos and the trailers, we knew Spock wouldn't show up, like in the first episode.
Yeah.
But they still...
He did, and technically he didn't.
Yeah. But, I mean, adult Spock wouldn't show. Like...
Yeah.
But they still played on that for those who, like, the rest of the general public is, and when there's Connolly beaming down, there's a huge close-up on his ears just to, like, show this is not Spock. Your expectations are shattered.
I'm sorry, but am I the only one that was okay with him being blown to a million pieces?
I think a lot of... I was a little bit disappointed because, I kind of liked him as an Arnold J. Rimmer kind of character, if you ever seen Red Dwarf.
Oh! The man knows his sci-fi.
But to be fair, Arnold J. Rimmer died in the first episode also.
Yes.
So maybe he won't come back with a big H on his head, but But I think the character served its purpose. It just he. Some people would complain that it's like mansplaining and like he got blown up to bits, and some other people complained that it was like death at the expense of humor, which is
those people can make those arguments, but the way I looked at it is, at the time, I mean, it was common knowledge that Michael Burnham was the first mutineer in Starfleet, so he was probably just treating her like crap, despite her being recommissioned for all that she did.
Yeah.
He probably still held on to some prejudices, like, how dare you, betray Starfleet the way you did, so I'm going to treat you like crap. So, I mean, I can see the mansplaining everything, but that actually makes more of a better plausible idea than anything else, really.
Yeah, and that like he was second to Spock in the science department, and he like felt the need to overcompensate while Spock is not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a bad idea either.
That's what we do, Trekkies. We take stuff and we overthink it to the point where it's not fun anymore.
Oh no!
You're telling me.
Trek will always be fun. Don't say that. Don't blaspheme.
Well, I'm bringing the self-depreciating humor because James not there. So
yes.
But yeah. So the episode. Am I the only one who felt like I was watching a movie?
A 45-minute movie, but a good movie nonetheless.
A full hour, like on my streaming website here on Crave TV, it shows 59 minutes 51 seconds. That is a full like 10 seconds shy of a full hour of Trek.
That's not bad. I mean, the way I looked at it is, I got more of a miniseries vibe. Use a favorite reference of mine, the Battlestar Galactica miniseries from 2003. Yeah. That's the feeling I got from it. I mean, I'm probably one of the few people that are out there that I like Discovery, but the first 2 episodes was shaky ground for me. But once you get to the 3rd episode and you see what's going on, they make sense. So, again, I got a miniseries vibe.
Yeah. But about
more than a movie.
Yeah, about those 2 episodes, they could have been chopped up and like spread through the whole season as flashbacks.
Absolutely.
But then someone would have taken those flashbacks and recut them back together to make 2 full episodes. But like back then, someone made like the chronological version of Lost.
Yes.
So, I mean, it was harsh. It might not have been the best decision but I mean, in hindsight, it still provided more background to a lot of the, the 3 main characters. Well, even though the captain died, eventually, it still brings an emotional punch when she shows up in the Marine universe later on. So, I mean, there was a purpose to it, although I agree that, it's still debatable, but
it was it was good, but it wasn't good enough until you got to the 3rd episode of the first season.
Yeah. I mean, you got Jason Isaacs there, and
he, to be fair, he kind of made the first season what it was. I really enjoyed his performance, and when I heard that he was going to be on the show in the first place, I'm like, what? He's a big movie star. Why would he lower himself to be on a TV show? Discovery is not a TV show; it is movie quality.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I mean, even there, you got Michelle Yeoh. Like she's a legend in Hong Kong and kung fu movies. Not only that, she's a Bond girl, and she has a whole length of accomplishments in her life, and like she's probably the only person that Jackie Chan actually fears in combat.
Am I the only heathen on the face of the planet that has not seen her in anything but Discovery?
You haven't seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Nope.
My God, go on Netflix, pull that up.
I wouldn't. My Wi-Fi would work.
I hadn't even heard of her before Star Trek Discovery.
Well, I actually I would say I haven't heard of her, but like if I punched up her name, I would recognize. I would have recognized her eventually.
Well, I did punch up her name after the episode because I found the two-parter premiere of Discovery to be very good. I actually really enjoyed her in that role, and I looked her up, and I didn't know anything she was in.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's yeah. There's still a few good movies. I hear Super Cop. I hear is very good. And again, she in James Bond, although it wasn't the best Bond movie, but Tomorrow Never Dies. She was in that, and also there's, as I said, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and then they made an actual sequel on Netflix to that movie, 2016. So, and she was also in the short-lived Marco Polo series. So.
Well, good to know.
yeah. Oh, and she was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Although it was a short appearance, but she was one of the other, I wouldn't say bounty hunters, but the
she was like one of the pirate captains.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and it's let's just say that 2018 was a very good year for her, because she was also in Crazy Rich Asians, which was a box office hit, and really raised her. That combined with Discovery, really, her star shut. Oh.
Okay, that's a nice update. Okay.
Okay. No, sorry, we got news from James, and he's out of the personal issues with family, so you're excused. And hope everything is all right. And we'll the show must go on. So we're
right.
talking about Michelle Yeoh. But yeah, I mean, but to get back to the episode.
Yes.
Tig Notaro. I mean, I was looking for. I've seen a name that I didn't know personally, but once I punched her up.
I'm sitting here drawing a blank. I was like, who is he talking about? Oh, the engineer with the very, very dry humor.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was brilliant. If she doesn't become part of the regular cast, I will be disappointed.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, we've seen her face in some of the coming up, this season in Discovery promos.
Yep.
So she will be. She I think she's at least there for a few episodes. That's for sure.
My feeling is how they introduced her. She's either going to take over for the guy,
Stamets,
Anthony Rapp,
yeah,
or she's going to take over for you guys are going to crucify me. The guy that played Dr. Culber.
No, well, Culber's going. He's getting resurrected. He's getting he's getting the Spock treatment.
I mean, he's in it, but it looks like he's going to be in it through memories, given that thing that was on Stamets' forehead.
I wouldn't put $100 bill on it.
I wouldn't either, but
his name is in
where it is right now.
His name is in the main credits, not as a guest star, but like.
It's true.
You wouldn't do that if it was just flashbacks. So they.
That's true.
And they wouldn't have gone all the way to say like he's not dead last year.
Yeah.
Just to pull the rug out of. They said it wouldn't be a cheap shot. So far.
Mirror Universe Culber.
So we'll see. So mycelial network Culber or something, but
But yeah, no, Tig did great in the role that she was given. She was a very strange engineer, but she could also be a doctor given what she did.
And now, if you know your U.S. politics, I will always see Janet Reno. I think she was Attorney General in the Clinton years, and she was portrayed in Saturday Night Live by Will Ferrell. And I will now it's like burned in my mind. It's like Janet Reno. Because, well, the surname is Jet, but the first name is Denise, but the surname is Jet. So in my mind, it's like Janet Reno. And I have this look it up and you'll laugh. But yeah, if you, I was on Amazon Prime and I've seen the first episode of her, she has her show. I think it's just called Tig or something. I have to look it up, but it's like it's not. I would say, it's called One Mississippi. It's like basically, I think it's her mom has died and like she has to deal with her stepfather, and it's like I would say it's kind of a situational comedy with the dry kind of humor that Tig is known for. But there's still a lot of sentimentality, so she has quite a wide range in terms. So she's not like gonna be always brute like that. I think she has the acting ability to bring a third dimension beyond just the dryness. And I gotta say, you'd be a bit dry if someone just showed up after 10 years being left, 10 months left alone on on an asteroid. So.
Yeah, plus I think it would get annoying really quickly if she was always like that.
Yeah. I think she's going to bring what I think is she might be she might become the actual chief engineer. Cuz we never saw that's one thing that was missing. Like we never saw an actual chief engineer on the show.
Yes, that's right.
Wouldn't consider the chief engineer?
No, well, he was mistakenly listed as chief engineer in one of the screens in first season, but like Ted Sullivan came on Twitter and said like that's a mistake. He's supposed to be science officer. Like I think they had a lot of issues with displays in the first season because there was a few typos and a few miscommunications. Hopefully that's resolved now. But yeah, Stamets is supposed to be like special science officer, not engineer, actually.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I mean, not to say that she doesn't deserve it because she's brilliant, but I mean, wouldn't you put Tilly in that role even though she's an ensign?
I think I wouldn't put her as chief engineer. I would put her like a junior. Oh. I would see. You know what? I would see Tig. I would see Reno be kind of a mentor to Tilly. That could be fun.
Really?
I'm trying to imagine them interacting together, and I think that could be fun. There's a lot of potential there. Like you have like the overexcited ensign, and you have like the hardened commander with a little bit of dry sense of humor. I mean, there's something to be exploited there.
Gotcha. I'm just going to quickly end the call on my phone, seeing as my internet has now become stable, and I'll rejoin you in just a few seconds.
All right. So, otherwise, I mean, the whole episode felt, we said felt like a movie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was trying to juggle my ideas around to get the flow of the conversation going. So,
I mean, where did you leave off? Did you just say that Tig was going to be like a mentor type deal?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can see it. It's just we have to have more of that dry humor.
Yeah. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Good. Because I saw in a recent behind the scenes that they said that the role was written for her and her alone. So it's like, okay, somebody really wanted somebody on the show.
Yeah, I mean, And one thing I really liked in the episode, the art direction and the direction itself. I mean, a lot of people give a lot of flack to Kurtzman, but I mean the direction, like there's a few transition shots that are like at the end of the episode where like we go from the window in the Discovery to the door on the Enterprise. There's a lot of symmetry going on, which I found very interesting. And when they're rolling the beds on the Hiawatha, like the camera just like under the sorry. I gotta say English is my second language, eh? So the camera under the bed, stuff like that. I mean, the camera was really used in. I wouldn't say innovate.
It was completely movie quality the way that the camera was utilized. You know, you can see that he's coming from a movie background and bringing that to a television, streaming series.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they want. That's exactly what they wanted to do, and they wouldn't have got Alex Kurtzman if they didn't.
To put it in comparison, I mean, you got the same type of feeling with the episode that Frakes directed in the Mirror Universe. It was very I can English, I promise. It was very cinematic. I mean, I should know. I should speak English. It's my primary language. You'd think I'd be able to do it. But it was very cinematic, and you could definitely tell that he drew on his experience from the movies that he's directed. For perfect example, First Contact.
Yes.
I mean, he took his Trek knowledge, being on it for God knows how many years now, and applied it with his movie knowledge, and it worked. And Kurtzman, I mean, he was involved in all three JJ movies, if I remember correct. Right?
Well, I think the first two for sure. The third one is, I'm not.
Yeah, it was Simon Pegg. I think took over partway through that,
and Justin Lin.
Yeah, and you could tell that those people working from a movie background, they know what they need to do to make it very cinematic, but at the same time they got to work within this constraints that this is technically a TV show, we can only do so much, and they still managed to pull it off.
And Jareth Warhol saying, like, I love the interior design of the Enterprise. Well, we haven't seen much of the Enterprise, although just the red corridor kind of made, a lot of people said, like, it makes them, it reminds them of the corridor in the Star Trek motion picture. We had, like, kind of, I think it was felt or tapisserie, or not the, how do you say, carpet on the walls, like the brown carpet on the walls. But Spock's quarters were like, it was still,
it was original enough to be Discovery era, but you could see the tiebacks. From our point of view, you could see the tiebacks to the original series.
Oh, yes.
And you could also see it being thrown towards the motion, not the motion picture, the Wrath of Khan, where you get to see his quarters. The close-up on those, I guess we want to call them dividing walls, the little cylinder things all stacked on top of each other. What the musical instrument that he plays when you first see him in the mess hall with Uhura in the original series, that was sitting on a pose stand. I believe the Edict was in there as well, the one that you could see hanging up on the wall in the Wrath of Khan. But there was enough in there that you could see original series throwbacks, motion picture throwbacks, even though technically this is a prequel. So it's technically foreshadowing, but it's...
Hi, Jeff. By the way, Jeff Alton just joined as a viewer. He's a friend of mine who we met in Star Trek Las Vegas. So hi, Jeff. But yeah... But I gotta say, if you've ever visited the Star Trek original series set tour in Ticonderoga, you'll see, like,
I did.
That's why you said the little tubes things, eh? Because the first thing I saw when you can't unsee that ever again. Like, it's just tubes.
That. Not to go on a totally different tangent, because I know we're supposed to be talking Discovery, but I gotta throw out the quality that you see at that set tour. James Cawley and crew, beautiful sets. I mean, I was blown away. I mean, for me, I mean, being there, it was cool and all, but it didn't quite hit home until you see those doors open up on the bridge.
Well,
at that point, your jaw hits the floor and you go, "Oh my God, I'm here!"
Although we can talk about it after we finish talking about the episode, because there's still a lot to talk about, because they have stuff going on this year, so we can talk about that a little later. But I was just going to say, like, having visited those sets and seeing the set they managed to recreate in Discovery, it's still, you know, a lot of callback elements. You did 3D set,
set. For sure.
And the red kind of drapes at the back is a kind of a callback to I think it was in Amok Time when we see Spock's quarters. There's still like red drapes in the back.
Yep.
So, you know, they actually do care. Like, believe it or not, like, they know their shit.
Yeah, I'm just for giggles, I pulled up a picture of the original series, Spock's quarters, and the first picture that I'm seeing is the cylinders with the divided wall. But you're also seeing it on the wall itself, just to the image I'm looking at, just to the right of that. I don't know what it's called. It's just got the bells on it that burn.
That. Well, they used it in the mock time, like in a ceremony.
Yes, that's right.
It's just the image I'm looking at is actually from The Way to Eden. But I mean, that's just, minor information, but it's actually literally hanging up on the wall behind where he sits down, where his computer interface is, and right in front of those. I'm just going to call them cylinder thingies. I don't know what to call that. That's a wall divide. I'll just call it the wall divide. It's sitting in front of that, but there's also, it looks like a statue kind of thing. It looks like a dragon's head type deal behind that. And I believe we also saw that in Discovery as well. So they definitely know what they're looking for design elements to bring into Discovery. You could tell a lot about the set designs for individual rooms, that you can see that they're taking a lot of care to try to bring as much from the original into Discovery.
And ladies and gentlemen, I am about to add Mr. James Hams to the conversation.
Oh, hide the booze.
Live from Great Britain. Calling him right now.
Chip chip cheerio.
Hey, just hold on. It's coming. It's coming. Hopefully there's no... I'm calling James Hams. Oh, here we are.
I see. He popped up.
James.
He's not saying anything.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello.
Right, give us 2 secs. Just get some headphones.
Well, first of all, let me be the first to welcome you to your own show. So yeah, we're talking about Spock's quarters in Discovery. We're talking about those awesome wall dividers, like. But one thing I want to ask is, do you expect to see the bridge of the Enterprise this year?
I do. I'm hoping with all my heart.
Well, I mean, they kind of hinted at it in the intro itself. I mean, we see. What do you want to call it? The stencil 3D work of the captain's chair from the Enterprise. Yeah. So I mean, they're kind of hinting at it, but I mean, they're probably going to pull a season 1 on us and wait to the very last episode.
But would they wait until the whole last episode to build a full set of a bridge? Because that thing,
probably.
This is Star Trek. I mean. Look at the idea behind Planet Hell. I mean, every set that they came up with when they weren't on the ship, it was a different one every week. I mean, I'm pretty sure they could build a bridge for one episode and be done with it.
They could probably reuse items from the Shenzhou Bridge and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, if they're gonna do it, they got to do it right. And we don't want too much Discovery. We don't want too much Shenzhou. We want Enterprise, but just a little bit Discovery touch-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Captain Pike said, lower expectation.
Oh.
Oh boy, because But speaking of, because we're gonna see other bridges this year. They're still we saw plans and we saw pictures of the Section 31 bridge, so and it has like a multi-level element to it, which should be interesting at least.
Was that Section 31 bridge, or was that tease pictures for the?
I think it was
Enterprise?
Section 31 bridge, because when they started filming, you saw plans, and you actually saw like Section 31 bridge. It had a multi-level, 2 levels of things. 2 levels of things. Wow, my vocabulary is awesome today. There were actually 2 levels, and in the promo pictures with Michelle and Mr. Tyler, it was on that set. So, and also we got a little glimpse of a section. What probably would be a Section 31 ship on Instagram. Michelle Yeoh was doing some ADR, and we saw the picture of a ship with very angular. Again, always very angular. Maybe designed by Germans. So I don't know.
You can't get any more angular than the one that you saw in. Wow, mind blank. Second J.J. Abrams movie. The Dreadnought. The Dreadnought.
Yeah,
that thing was angular.
Oh, yeah.
Again, with still an inexplicable hole in the middle of the saucer. So, I do like negative space, but I still find it weird. I love it, but I still find it weird. It's.
See, my headcanon for that, that design was that the bridge detaches and it becomes its own life pod. And, I mean, you don't want anything in the way. So it's just detach, drop out, or go up. I mean, that's my headcanon involving that thing with all the negative space. But with Discovery, I mean, there's negative space, but they do have walkways between it. Mm-hmm. So you kind of get a little bit of a DS9 vibe between the inner section and the outer section of the saucer section. So that's okay. I mean, as long it has that DS9 vibe. The only thing that it's missing are the pylons.
Do you think it's too big? The bridge of the Discovery. Have you? Just something about it seems too big.
I think just the way they capture the angles of the bridge makes it seem bigger than it actually is.
Well, the camera does add 10 pounds.
Too big. It seems like the Galaxy class bridge was smaller than Discovery's.
By all means.
Yeah, but honestly,
but Discovery also has 3 times the amount of consoles.
but you gotta say the lens does also a lot of work. The way you use a wide angle lens versus, because if you remember, in Star Trek Generations, they added 2 consoles on each side of the bridge on the Enterprise D.
Yep.
That's the only reason they added those is because they were now able to shoot in widescreen. Because those consoles were actually planned when they first designed the Enterprise D, but because they shot in 4:3, it didn't make any sense visually to put those on, because they would just they would block the way of the camera, and wouldn't make a lot of sense.
And when they did film in 4:3 on the show, I mean, they didn't really have much of a use for them. The only time you ever really saw those extra consoles was on yesterday's Enterprise, which favorite episode of TNG, just saying.
I know.
But when you did see those consoles, they were only there for a brief moment. I mean, Riker being thrown across the bridge, you saw them for a brief moment.
But
wide shot, brief moment.
That's the line between art and visualization and actual, and the nerdy bits where where we come in, and that's something that's kind of the visual changes in Discovery. Why Why update the look? Well, because it's as Justin Trudeau would say, because it's 2018. And
I actually want to go on a small side tangent. I just noticed Jeff Alton's comment about it not being as big as we think, but it's probably the largest bridge we've seen in Trek. I'd actually argue against that. I actually would say it's technically not a bridge, but Ops on DS9. I get a much larger feel from Deep Space Nine's Ops than Discovery's bridge, because Ops, you had a lower section for the table and then an outer ring and then whole other level for Sisko's office.
And you had like the hole where O'Brien hid himself.
And the transporter
well,
in
there
the
was
middle of Ops.
Yeah, and there was like a pit. Like
yep,
O'Brien
there was also a pit.
Like O'Brien would just like he would. I remember like at one point he brought the baby there because
he put his baby in the pit.
Because the humming would quiet,
Yes,
that was cute.
But yeah, I would argue that if we want to call it a bridge, Ops would probably be the biggest one that we've seen. Mm-hmm. Quickly followed up by Discovery.
Yeah.
So going back to the episode.
Yes, thank you.
What sort of vibe did you get from the whole Pike thing? I've seen a lot of talk online about people saying, "Oh, they don't think he is who we think he is. He might be someone." Do you think that's just like another throwback to the whole Lorca thing, or do you think that's more?
No, actually, they actually went out of their way. They actually went out of their way to say, "No, not Lorca. Me friend. Me not want to kill you." So
both in interviews and on screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think they put as much time and effort as they did into finding somebody that looks like the original Pike, but also, the Pike in the cage, she was a lot more seasoned and a little bit more downtrodden, just because of whatever situation they were coming out of. This Pike seems to be just prior to that, maybe by a little bit, because he's a little more open. He's a little bit more, what's the right word? Enlightened and happy. I don't want to say happy, but
place after the cage.
Yeah, it takes 3 years after the cage.
It does. So okay, slap me. I got my information.
So maybe he just got over it, though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot happens in 3 years. I can tell you that.
Plus another thing that I see is perhaps they're setting up a potential spin-off where we get to see Pike's command of the Starship Enterprise. So I don't think they'd go through that effort if it wasn't actually Pike.
Yes, Jeff, the Discovery is after the pitch.
No, that's 5 lashes and 10 Ave Marias.
Oh, okay.
So what do you think was like the best part of the episode?
Best part of the episode. It's hard to nail one down. The whole episode was good.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, special effects wise, the pod, I wouldn't call it the pod race as a callback to Star Wars Episode 1.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that.
It was visually stunning.
It was.
That's the most memorable part to me is like the whole landing pod sequence.
For me, there wasn't one specific scene, but the general feeling of the whole episode, it was much more uplifting than we had seen previously in Discovery, and it felt more like the Star Trek we used to know, but yet updated to the Star Trek of what it has to be now in order to survive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just thinking on it, now that I thought on it a little bit, my favorite part in the whole episode would have to be Pike asking for the roll call of everybody. And he just says, don't bother with your rank. Just, I want to know your name. They go around the room, and then he starts giving orders. And the last person he comes to is Detmer, and he just is like, fly good. the coy smile that she gives him at the end of it, it's like, yeah, this guy's definitely going to be enjoyable as Pike. So I'd have to say that bit was my favorite bit of the whole episode. Second only to seeing Burnham meet Spock for the first time.
Oh yeah, that. Well, I've seen a very next time. Spock has like the young Spock has like a resting bitch face.
It's so true.
He is a Vulcan. I mean, it kind of comes with the job.
But like even for Vulcan, I mean, just to slam the door like he did, it's.
Yeah, Kid Spock is very dark, actually, when you see that, that monster he's creating with the hollow, art stuff. It's a very, very dark Spock.
And yet, I wonder, it was foreshadowing for the rest of the episode, so it wasn't really him being mean. It was him being Vulcan and him doing what his mother told him to do.
But one thing I'm asking myself, like, do you think it's before or after? Like, considering they're considering the animated series as kind of soft canon, do you think it would be like before or after Yesteryear?
I've never seen that.
Oh, you haven't seen? Oh my god!
You haven't seen it?
If there's one,
I'm not a massive fan of the original series anyway, and then
but
like
if there's one episode of the animated series you need to see, it's Yesteryear.
I see. I've never seen the animated series, and it wasn't appealing enough to me to actually watch it. I know I'm a Trek fan. I should watch it.
You guys have some homework to do.
I've seen a few episodes, like the one where they're underwater and stuff like that. But it's like I said, I'm not a massive fan of the original series anyway. And then you're presented with this cartoon that's like.
I am disappointed.
There's a few episodes that I like. Yeah. Like I will always watch Space Seed before I watch The Wrath of Khan because it's like a prequel. Yeah. Things like Balance of Terror and stuff like that. But some of it I cannot. If it's on TV, I'll watch it. But it's not something that I can just put on and binge watch. It's.
There are certain episodes that did not stand the test of time, and there are others that did, and that's okay. It was made back in '66. Okay, we're not expected to still enjoy everything that came out of '66. Don't kill me, but I mean that's how it is.
But I was just saying that because Yesteryear is an episode in the original series where Spock goes back in time to meet his younger self, where he helps himself survive a harrowing deal in the Vulcan desert, and he unfortunately loses a very good friend of his named Ichala, and it's a very big kind of, I would say kind of fanged bear kind of thing. Cat bear, fang cat bear.
Yes, it's teddy bear that's mentioned in Journey to Babel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they oh god, there was a picture of it I saw online. It's like a
to Google.
Yes.
Well, they also touch on it in Enterprise when T'Pol and Archer go to the Forge.
Exactly. So as Jess said, like we didn't see Ichala. I think it's Ichaya, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Ichaya.
So I don't know. Maybe there's still an opportunity to see like the tamed Vulcan. I think what's the name of that beast? It's Vulcan.
Sailot.
Yeah, it is a Sailot. Yeah.
So
yeah, I've got it on.
Because they haven't shied away from callbacks to the animated series. So
that's freaky. I've just got a picture of it on my computer now, and Kid Spock in Discovery kind of looks like the one. Yeah, I know, child and everything like that, but kind of looks like the one that's in the animated series.
Yeah.
Oh, the animated series. Yeah. Well.
Like they've even got it right down to the resting bitch face.
Oh boy. But yeah, so given they haven't shied away from callbacks to the animated series, I think hopefully we could see Ichaya in the future, unless it's set after said episode. So hopefully we can place that in the timeline eventually, because kind of playing this is it kind of reminds me there's a board game called Timelines, where you have like historical events and you have to put them like before and after each other, And like right now, it kind of feels like that, where you have like, okay, so we have like Burnham meets Spock. Is that before or after that? It's like, so. Well, let's just say the guys in Memory Alpha have, they have a lot of work ahead of them.
So, what do you think was like the worst part of it?
Oh, was there a worst part?
I think honestly, the worst part of it was Spock's mother. She didn't seem as, I mean, going from what we've seen, I'm not talking JJ here. I'm talking Prime Universe, Amanda Grace. I'm going to screw up her name, but it's Grayson. I almost said Greystone. I got Battlestar Galactica on the brain. From what we saw of Amanda Grayson, she was much more reserved. She was more Vulcan-like than human. She had her human tendencies, but she was more Vulcan-like. And in Discovery, she was more... she's more human-like. I can English. I swear to God, I know how to speak English. And just compared to what we've seen in the original series and in the motion picture era, I didn't get the same vibe from her. So I think she was like the weakest bit of Brothers.
Don't forget though, we're looking at it's probably they say it's like 10 years.
Yeah,
a lot can happen.
Yeah,
sure, but by the time we see them on the original series, I mean, would a person change that much? I mean, given how long they've been married together.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we'll see.
But,
I mean,
it's anything can happen. I mean, you don't quite know whether the reason we never hear of her again, Michael, is because maybe she dies.
That's true.
Oh, don't say that. I like her character. Don't say that.
No, I know, but it's there's so many possibilities. I mean, you see online where people are like, oh well, we've never heard of her, and they're trying to like retcon canon and stuff like that. It's just like, well,
not that I want to reference it because I hate it with a burning passion, but we never heard of Cybok until the movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was married, Spock was married, that was another thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's plenty of things that people say that, oh well, he was best friends with Kirk and but it's like, well, he didn't tell them about Cybok until probably about 30 years after they met, and it only came up because of the situation.
I mean, there's this meme going around where Kirk says like, you had a sister, like, can I meet her? And then says like, why he never mentioned Burnham before,
It's believable. Unfortunately, it's believable.
But to me, like the week, I wouldn't say because I didn't like it, but just I felt like it was a little overhanded like the intro, like with the story about the little girl and like the Cassini logo. It was nice. It was very well done, but it felt kind of out of place to me. Maybe like eventually will make sense. Hopefully it will, because I know like if they put that there's a reason why. Like it says like there's a message embedded like for those who want to want to listen or something like that. Like there's a message hidden across the stars, something like that. And hopefully, there's going to be something related to the Cassini space probe. But again, it's like a little too mysterious and thing is, it was combined with like the whole recap of season 1. So I don't know, maybe I would have liked it more if it wasn't like for the already for the recap that was tacked before the start of the episode. I don't know.
I do think that the episode was, I don't know whether it's because when we first met, the series, I was expecting something a little bit more actiony.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can just hear it now. You're not a truth.
I just gotta say for myself, I ignore the haters. I enjoy Discovery for what it is. Some Trek is better than no Trek is what I subscribe to.
Yeah, I mean, but thing is, like, people will find the Trek they want. There's like, there's Trek from the '60s with a lot of action adventure and somehow westerns stacked on it because they needed some sets that were cheap. And you have like the thoughtful, let's put some women in skimpy outfits of early TNG, and then and then there's a Lost in Space for Voyager. There's a little bit of Trek for everyone, but at its heart, it's always been action. Action adventure first. Whatever you want to think about it. To me, that's been. I remember watching Trek when I was a kid on Betamax, and I was looking. You get in with the phasers and warp drives, and then the story kind of hits you, but there still has to be. You can't have like the dry kind of Trek that some of these guys want, because the audience will drop. I can guarantee you that.
Thing is, 90s Trek, and I call it 90s Trek because that's when it was made. It's thoroughly enjoyable, and yes, there are certain aspects that I wish were in Discovery, kind of maybe like the standalone a whole episode thing, because when you can't really do that so far with the series, you kind of have to.
I gotta say, second season of Discovery, they might be they might be doing a little bit of compromise there, given what we've seen as episode 2 so far. But
I just hope they don't abandon it completely, because one thing that drew me to season 1 was the fact that it is the only series of Trek so far that I needed to see the next episode.
Yeah.
Because it continued the story. Whereas because I'm based in the UK, I used to have to wait months to see a new episode or that sort of thing, because I didn't have, like, I've got it here either on Netflix or on cable or whatever. Back in the day, it was more along the lines of I had to go out and buy like the cassette, and they were released like once a month here. So it literally would be a case of I'd see like 2 episodes and then I'd have to wait another month, and it was like, I don't know whether and there would be months where I'd miss it, and I'd just, I wouldn't be too overly bothered. I'd buy it, eventually. Mm-hmm. But this is the first series that I've been like, no, I've got to see the next episode. It's
absolutely.
And I gotta say, it's still kind of it's still kind of weird when you see like Americans saying like, I won't pay $6 or $10 a month for Star Trek, blah blah blah, and then you hear like people like from outside of the USA or Canada saying like, I had to buy tapes on the black market at like $20, $30 or $40 or euros or pounds a pop just to see like 2 episodes.
Yeah, don't forget, in parts of the world, UK, cough, cough, we have to pay for a TV license.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of, if I could say, okay, yeah, £6 a month, whatever, yeah, that would be like golden. But by the time I add it all up, it's probably about 5 times that. So I see it and I'm just thinking to myself, you just need something to watch it on and an internet connection. Here, I've got to factor in the fact that it's mind-boggling. But anyway, back to the discussion for the episode. Yeah, for me, I think it was because I was expecting a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, I think it was like they set up everything, and it wasn't like the setup was. It was, I wouldn't say as clear, but it was more, even though the episode was in your face on a lot of things like the actions and like the callback and the winks and the humor, but the setup to the rest of the season was a little bit more subtle. Like it wasn't as clear cut as season, like as, oh, it's a war of the Klingons. Bang, you got it. Now we got a mystery going on, and like they we know just enough to pique our interest. Like they've only just hinted at like the Red Angel thing. Like they didn't even mention it in dialogue yet, or maybe in Spock's log. I'm not sure. I have to see that again. But like
the only thing that they mentioned as far as the Red Angel is Spock's mother saying that he used to have nightmares about this thing, called it the Red Angel, but that was it.
Even though wasn't that like in a preview and not in the actual episode?
Oh, that was in the actual episode.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. In Spock's log.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, it was when Burnham was listening to Spock's log, but she was having a flashback to Amanda telling her about it when they first were meeting Spock as a young child.
So I mean, yeah, the setup is a little slower in terms of the mystery of the season. So yes, I understand where you're coming from on that. But I think it's probably voluntary. They want to keep some of the meat for later on in the season. So,
see, for me, I thought it was a strong start, but an obvious start. Yeah. Like, there wasn't, like you said, any sort of big meat to the plot or anything like that. It was just touching, the very beginning of the story.
Mm-hmm. And although one thing I was afraid of, like before we heard of that. Pike would join the crew and everything. Is like I was afraid like it would be like the Enterprise needed some sugar and some for their cookies, and here you go, and here's some gas, and now you can go. It would be I was genuinely afraid it would be something as cheap as that. Like, but I'm just glad it wasn't that kind of gimmick. That's why I had in my mind. I had to say it out loud. But, yeah.
I mean, to be completely honest, I mean, the way they went about bringing Enterprise in and how they described the situation, it actually made sense. I mean, Enterprise was on its way back from its, what would we say, the second or maybe third 5-year mission, and they missed the war, and on the way back they had problems. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, 5 years out in deep space, no support from your fleet and everything, something's bound to break.
Yeah,
that's true.
But the thing for me was it was a little heartbreaking to watch it being pulled away by tugs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it was all blurred out, you could tell what was going on, and a little bit of my heart broke. It's like, that's the Enterprise. It's not supposed to be pulled by tugs.
Although, you can never say no to some good ship porn, though. It's still good to see like some ship action going, even though it's tugs.
I mean, let's be honest. The whole shot of Saru and Burnham walking through the hallway of Discovery on the side of the ship, that wasn't for Saru and Burnham. That was all to show off the Enterprise. Let's be honest. We know what you're doing, Discovery producers.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And yes, Jeff Alton, you are correct that the red bursts did disable the Enterprise somehow.
Yeah, you see that kind of like ties into like everyone moaning about they think it's like the Iconians, and it's like it. Do you really think that they would go there? Bearing in mind that we literally only meet them for like a brief second in one episode of season 2 of TNG.
Wasn't season 1?
No, it's season 2.
Not season 2. Yeah, very good episode though, but still, yeah.
I mean. I don't know if you guys also are like me and listen to fan audio drama, but you could always listen to Star Trek Excelsior, which deals with the Iconians, and it also deals with I think it's season 1 TNG, the episode where
season 2
those symbiote things. No, this particular fan audio drama deals with the Iconians and. It's like season 1 that creature that had the gill sticking out of everybody's back of their neck.
Oh yeah, conspiracy.
Yeah. Yep. And that set up the premise for this fan audio drama. So if you want to hear more about the Iconians in a fan sense, I would highly recommend Star Trek Excelsior. It's a really good show, and it's the only audio drama that got Nichelle Nichols, Walter Koenig, and Robin Curtis back to reprise their roles for the entire episode.
I actually met Robin Curtis last summer in Ticonderoga. She was like, she's a hoot. She's so fun, and actually had lunch with her with 10 other folks, and like she's so extroverted. She's like the complete antithesis of Savick. Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about the red bursts and who the Red Angels are? I was thinking, what if it's the Preservers?
Could be, yeah.
Because that would be a throwback to the original series. The Preservers were mentioned many times in the original series.
But again, it's like, what if this mystery, like, what would be the outcome of that mystery being solved? Like, how come they can't just use the excuse of it's classified for every big mystery in Discovery, because that would be a cheap shot.
Well, we know that the preservers aren't classified, though, because they find technology on planets from them, right? So this could explain why they know about them.
Oh, sorry, I didn't remember. They knew about the preservers in the original series?
Oh, in that episode where Kirk loses his memory and becomes a Native American for a while?
You mean the really, really badly racist episode?
Yes, that one.
See, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to say it gets like slated now. You're being so bad against original canon.
But it was quite racist, yeah. Oh, hello to Claudio from Italy.
Hi, Claudio.
Shouldn't you be in bed right now?
Well, I mean, the same thing could be said for James, but apparently
but James never
sleeps.
No, I don't. But it's only 1:20 here, whereas in Italy it would be
plus
almost 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Claudia,
someone give the man a pillow.
But yeah, coming back to Discovery. One thing I want to mention, because I follow a lot of tech YouTubers on YouTube, mentioning especially Linus Tech Tips, and yes, that is a call. First of all, when I see the Saurian name Linus, I can again. My mind made some links over there, but recently they showed transparent OLED TVs, and that reminded me, like in the behind the scenes on the Blu-rays, they mentioned like we have 4, because those are actual displays on the bridge.
Yes, they're real monitors.
Like they are real monitors, and they said like there are 4 in the world right now, and we have all 4.
Yeah,
and. I invite you to go see that video on about transparent OLED TVs. You have Linus Tech Tips playing the new Doom game on one, which is really amazing, because it's usually more for like the principal use is for like store displays, like you put that in front of your shop, and like you put stuff in behind, and you have like messages and art going on in the, on the window basically, and you still get to show your wares. But to see how
sounds quite interesting, actually. I'm gonna have to. I mean, when I write this all up and put it online and everything like that, I'll put a link into that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I find it amazing how they manage to use like the actual like the bleeding edge technology, and like something that's like not that's still in like I would say late experimental stage. Like it's stable enough for like public demos and allowing people to use it, but not quite general release. Anyway, what would you do with a transparent TV anyway? So, but that's still kind of a specialized application. But I just want to mention again that's amazing that they were able to get that. Like that goes in Star Trek's history of like pushing. I wouldn't say pushing technology, but pushing ideas. Yeah.
If I'm honest, because I'm like permanently focusing on what's going on behind it. I think for me more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. So where do you think this season's going to go then? I mean, with the next episode, we see like them visiting
an old Star Trek trope.
Yes, that's been done to death. But
well, that ought to be an interesting Prime Directive episode. I think. Like, if they are humans, do you still disturb? Are you still allowed to disturb their culture and the way they live? And I think like the asteroid, like there's going to be some development with the asteroid they capture, and probably with the asteroid that's seemingly hurtling towards the planet. But yeah, I mean, there were still good episodes with that trope. I mean, I actually liked North Star with in Star Trek Enterprise, which I liked the fact that they knew there were aliens and they knew like they actually like rebelled themselves and yet still lived the cowboy way. That's
I never cared too much for that episode, but
you should. It's fun. It's like one of the lighter episodes of season 3 of Star Trek Enterprise during that whole Xindi arc.
Oh yeah. Where I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. Where like everything's a little bit depressing, but not, and then kind of not. Yeah, I think it kind of ruined series 3. If I'm honest with you.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I kind of liked it, and there's still some good episodes with that trope, and I think they can. And next episode is actually directed by Jonathan Frakes. So,
yeah.
I mean,
how many more are we expecting him to do?
He's got one more after this one.
Yeah, he's doing 2 this
9,
year.
I think.
Yeah, and hopefully he will shut up this time, because last year he kind of threw he threw a spoiler about the Mirror Universe, and like
come on, the man was excited. He's back doing Trek. I mean, you blame him.
Still, I mean, that kind of ruined the surprise for us a little bit, even though we still would have guessed it, but it would have been a further stretch to guess than, oh yeah, John Frick said it would be in the Mirror Universe. So
I can forgive him for that, as long as we don't see the frickin' Borg in this Enterprise.
Yeah, well, it was
I like that episode.
I do too. It's just when it first came out, I was like, really, we're gonna trope on the Borg now? But then you watch it and it makes sense and you can forgive it. But it's like, let's please no more Borg in pre-TNG. We had one. That's enough.
Speaking of Borg, I actually saw one this weekend. I went to a Star Trek themed burlesque event, and the last act was the Borg Queen.
How does that even work?
Burlesque event?
Well, the last act of the soiree was like the Borg Queen doing a striptease.
Oh no!
No.
Oh, jeez.
Now I've ruined your minds. I'll send some pictures later.
My mind is officially off at the idea of Star Trek burlesque. I'm done. Next topic, please.
But yeah, I think
I'm just watching the trailer now again for the new episode.
Mm-hmm.
I am. Yeah, it's.
I think they might touch the question of religion in that one a bit. I think, I saw a bit of a church and of a cemetery, and I think I saw like a picture of young Spock in said cemetery, so there might be some kind of weird flashbacks again.
As long as they're not overused and they're used well, I can live with flashbacks.
Yeah.
But if they're too numerous and they're too obvious, it's like, okay, this is just lazy writing.
Yeah, I mean, like the flashback we got today, like I was thinking, like, oh, that's just Spock going through his anime phase.
See, and one thing that I've seen online is where people have been moaning about Star Trek not having any religion, and if they do the whole religion thing in series 2 of Discovery, it goes against everything. So I was watching Data's Day last night. And he mentions Hinduism.
Yeah.
They might not harp on it. And then there's that episode in the original series where two people get married in a church. Yeah. So
there's the genuflection. It's an actual Christian ceremony. Christian or Catholic? I get those two confused.
I can't stay silent on this one. Star Trek not touch on religion. Did anybody watch DS9?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I just you guys.
And the entire Star Trek 5 was all based around finding God. It's just like
it's like you guys are bringing up individual episodes. It's like, can we just put this one to bed and just say DS9 done?
Yeah. I can't subscribe to humanity, even though we can't. A lot of us would wish for religion to be over in the future. I mean, it won't. It won't. And the only thing we can. The only thing we can wish for is for religion to be out of the way of government and out of the way of the path of humanity. Keep it to yourself. Do it as a personal thing, but don't use it to set us back, or what I mean.
I mean, absolutely, but I mean, I'd also like to point out that we might be advanced to a point where it's taken a back seat in our lives. But you may run into other people that it hasn't. I mean, I'm gonna use another fan reference here, just because I listen to a lot of Star Trek fan audio and watch a lot of Star Trek fan fiction. And today, on the way home from work, I was listening to an episode of Star Trek Outpost, which, again, highly recommend listening to. It's my favorite of all the audio dramas. And the crew of the USS Chimera encounters this anomaly in space that they call a void, and they're there testing this probe that has gel packs in it, and they shoot this probe in. The probe goes in and it explodes, but after it explodes, the ship shows up, and the ship is crewed entirely by religious folks, and they meet the crew of the Chimera, and they're all confused because their prophecy said that when they go through the window of heaven, that the gods would be there to wait for them and they would live with them and all that. And it turns out that, they're not gods. They're just regular people. Mm-hmm. But, it's just, you never know who you're going to run into. As I said, we might have it as a back burner, but other races, other species, it might be the whole forefront of their society and drove them to develop what they did.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about religion is that if you look at something like Christianity or Catholicism, what it is now is not the same as what it was 1,000 years ago. So if we go further into the future, religion might evolve in Star Trek's time into something else, something more like a faith of knowing that there is more to the universe than what we can see. Mm-hmm. As opposed to God created this, or the preservers, or Iconians, or whatever you want to call them,
Well, what I have in mind is in Babylon 5, they actually used, they were the maker religions, kind of a...
Yep.
I wouldn't say generalist religion, but still, kind of, there's a maker, and it was, I think, it kind of subscribed to a philosophy. I had to research a little bit more, but I know that Dr. Franklin was... part of that kind of new kind of religion where...
Yes, that's right.
Again, I'm talking about out of my ass a bit, but if that interests you, Babylon 5 is awesome, and you
one of the best written sci-fi shows ever.
That's right.
And I gotta, talking about religion, the way there's that episode of Babylon 5 at the end where they were exchanging about cultures and religions, and at the end. That where Sinclair just lined up a whole bunch of religious folks from Earth and introduced each religion, starting with an atheist. that was a bold move, even for the 90s, and that's something I wish Trek had a little bit more balls to. Hopefully, we'll have more balls to tackle.
I just hope it. I mean, if it does, I just hope it doesn't. Overshadow everything else.
Yeah, don't put it in the forefront. Use it as a background thing. A plot point here and there, maybe, but don't go overboard. I mean, don't. Not that I'm going to say that don't do DS9, but don't do DS9.
Well, DS9's been done, so.
I mean, I'm just saying, is using a religion as a story plot point. We've done that. We don't need to do it again.
Yeah. So, I guess we it's time to go in the news in the news area, because James, you just posted a kind of something to shut some people up.
Well, there is that, but I mean, it's. I mean, even if it was just for the whole, because people have been saying, oh yeah, but mostly they signed up for the football and everything like that. Well, that's fine, but then they're either I can hear it now, but they're only using Discovery in it because of how bad it's doing, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know whether it was a fact that it's joined both. It might have been a case of it might have been the weekend, but only CBS know what the people are watching.
That's true.
But, they still announced record numbers for CBS All Access this weekend. So, although I got to say, football probably helped a lot also.
Yeah.
Because CBS All Access is kind of I wouldn't say the one and only place, but like the prime place to find legally streaming football games in this Super Bowl season.
Mm.
But, yeah.
I was just going to say, I mean, listening in, just what I've seen on Facebook and, around the internet, people still rag on Discovery and everything, saying that, not a lot of people are watching it, that it's losing numbers. I'd just like to point out that right now, Brother on Rotten Tomatoes is sitting at a 96% fresh. Yeah. So if Discovery keeps up that rate, I just gonna have to say to the naysayers, shut your zip your lip, go in your corner.
And actually, James actually asked me a few weeks ago to compile some hard data because, as I mentioned earlier, Canada is the only place where Star Trek is actually broadcast. You know what that means?
It's the only place that you can get hard identifiable data on how many viewers. Now, if I remember rightly, when you did that, I averaged out every episode was having an average of around about 1.4 to 1.6 million people watching it.
Mm-hmm. So, because the available data is coming from the weekly top 30 from Numeris. It's a Canadian firm. So that's the only data that's available to the public. But that's top 30 across the whole week, where Discovery showed up 11 out of 14 weeks. Is huge because first of all, that's the only cable show showing up in there other than hockey.
We love our hockey.
I was going to say, you Canadians love your hockey.
Other than hockey, it was the only cable show to show up in that top 30. Other channels showing up in that top 30 is all on Global and CTV, which are generalists over the air, and CBC, which are generalists over the air channels, which most people get for free or get as a basic in their cable package. So for the Space Channel, I can tell you that is very, very good for selling advertisements at that specific time slot. And
well, let's face it, a lot of the naysayers are going off fake news that is being broadcast on different YouTube channels that are sitting there and citing their sources as this mysterious person who works for CBS.
Yeah.
Oh, what you mean, Bob Pike?
Well, one of them.
Mr. I have inside sources. I'm a lawyer in South Africa. And Mr. I really don't know anything.
Exactly. And it's so fake and so obvious that if any Star Trek fan stepped back and said, would CBS really be dumping all this money into Kurtzman creating more and more series if Star Trek Discovery was actually failing?
Well, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they absolutely wouldn't.
It's just, I mean, look what happened to Voyager. They got rid of Kess and brought in Seven because ratings were bad. That was one thing they did. Otherwise, it would have been cancelled. And they cancelled Enterprise.
Exactly.
Because they shoved it on UPN.
Well, it was already it was on UPN all the way because Voyager launched UPN. But the thing is, UPN wasn't the kind of channel a sci-fi geek or sci-fi person would watch because it was a lot of programming that didn't appeal to people who like Star Trek. So it was kind of the odd one out. So that didn't help. But one thing that didn't, kind of like the original series. The original series was canceled after 3 seasons. That was before they looked at demographics in the Nielsen ratings. Before they were looking at just numbers, and then they realized, wow, we have all those youngsters with pockets full of money who like. But thing is, with Enterprise, it was one of the most DVR'd show. Like, because I don't know if it was because of the time slot or, but then TiVo was starting up back then. It was one of the shows that was the most recorded on the DVRs. And only a few years after, they started, like in the numbers I am getting for Numeris in Canada, those are including the 7-day playback from DVRs. So Enterprise will probably
Discovery
have
Series 1 is actually up there, not as badly, but up there with Game of Thrones in terms of the most pirated TV show in the world.
I mean, on one hand, bad. Don't pirate things. Bad people. Bad.
But it just shows
on
the
the other
demand.
hand, it does. Exactly, it does show the demand.
That's right.
Now, I mean, it's not a good thing, and yes, I think All Access in a way might have had a hand in that. But on the other hand, it's recently there was a blog out there that said you couldn't get the short treks, and they weren't, readily available and stuff like that. Now, I went the next day after reading that to have a look. You can find them very, very, very easily online.
You just have to Google, like, it's 3 seconds of Googling and it's right in your face.
Well, they were basing it on they couldn't find it on a certain platform where, you find these things to download. But no, they were there.
Yeah, I mean,
they can be found very, very easily.
The thing that I saw, that, the biggest hiccup behind it, non-US, watchers of Discovery, the Netflix, the way it was set up, it wasn't exactly clear as to how to access them. Instead of accessing them like a regular episode, you had to go into what was it, like the trailers section.
Yeah.
So to be fair, I can understand where people would be like, "Oh, it was announced, but we can't get to it. Where is it? It's episodes. Why can't
Netflix
we see it?"
Only got them a week before Series 2, and
I think it was a day before Series 2, actually.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah,
it was a day.
And I think that's more along the lines of if you read Netflix's own terms and stuff, they won't accept anything under 11 minutes. So it kind of it's kind of understandable that they wanted it to be binge worthy. The whole thing about Netflix is binge worthy TV.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they release it the same way as Space, Crave, and Lexus have?
Yeah, because last year they had 2 shows. They had the Michelle Wolf show, and they had another show. Oh my God, the guy was Community. It was basically doing a riff on reality TV shows. Just hold on, I gotta find the name now. Joel McHale. It was a Joel McHale show, and they were like half-hour shows showing up every week. Those were canceled. Like they survived only 1 season. Even though they cut the Joe McHale show, and then they showed up like I think 3 or 4 episodes, and those were released like all the same time. That shows to me that Netflix doesn't want short. Like they will deal with Star Trek Discovery like the full hour episodes because they will keep bringing people back each week.
Well, yeah, I mean Netflix isn't. It's a lot of people are saying, they don't understand why Netflix took on Discovery because of its once a week sort of thing. If you have Netflix outside of America, we get things like Riverdale, Shadowhunters, just trying to think of other ones that are weekly.
Sabrina, well, yeah.
No, that was binged. No, there's plenty on there that are literally released once a week, and we get them a day behind America on Netflix. So it's like, well, that's why, because... and I was explaining to someone in one of the Star Trek groups earlier, in using the UK as an example, unlike America, we have Netflix, Amazon Prime, we have Sky TV and Virgin Media, and then we get like terrestrial channels and stuff like that. We don't have things like HBO and Is it Hulu or something like that?
Hulu,
we don't get things like that.
Hulu.
Yeah, we literally get a choice of 4 things.
What? You don't get Dave anymore?
Oh no, we get like on Virgin Media or Sky. There's like hundreds of channels, but it's a case of we either have to subscribe to either Amazon or Netflix to get certain content, because we get Titans on Netflix over here.
Yeah.
Whereas
in Canada as well.
Yes, that's right.
But we don't have like the services that everyone else does.
Mm-hmm.
We literally have to choose between 4 services, and I think there is things like Now TV and stuff like that, which is like Freeview, that like digital TV and stuff like that. But to get most of these shows, like the Purge TV series, that's on Amazon. The Walking Dead is on Amazon Prime. Things like that are. So it's literally a case of you either go with your basic Virgin or Sky, and then Amazon and Netflix, but we don't get all these other things that you guys get. So it's
and to put that into context, the way CBS is making money is through distribution deals. Like Netflix paid a hefty amount, and people say like for Discovery, no, it was like they paid for the whole of Star Trek. And
it was. It wasn't just.
And that's one bit of news that's often misinterpreted. It's like they didn't buy season 1; they bought the whole catalog of Star, including Discovery, and that investment allowed CBS to pay for season 1, and then they'll roll, and then like the money they make after that from CBS All Access will pay for the rest of all, but it's still paid for the initial kind of kicking off of a Discovery, which probably was the biggest amount to shell out. Because you gotta start the machine again, which was like.
I mean, Discovery is their flagship show on CBS All Access at this point. They're kind of putting everything they can into it. It was what they planned on launching All Access with. Yeah. And they were successful to the point that not only did Discovery get picked up for a second season, we're getting more short treks in the form of Lower Decks, that comedy show, I guess they're going to be calling it. We're getting a limited Picard series.
Well, they say limited, but not sure. But
it's limited, but limited series can be continued. And on top of that, we're also getting a Section 31 series, which people have been banging that gong for as long as I can remember. We want Section 31, and you're getting it. And I mean, you couldn't pick a better person to. Oh yeah, be on that show as Michelle Yeoh, as we said earlier tonight. She's great, absolutely. And if Discovery didn't do as well as it did, we wouldn't be getting what did I list off? 4 additional shows.
Well, in total, I mean, I read about this the other week. There's going to be 2 animated, the Picard Section 31, Short Treks, and Discovery. So in total, I think there's going to be about 6 now. The whole thing about the whole Picard series, it seems to have gone from an ongoing series to limited series. Now, I don't know whether that's just misreporting and stuff like that. But the thing that concerned me the most and made me pause was the Section 31 series isn't going to be aired, or might not be aired, until Discovery finishes.
From what I'm reading here is that the new Picard series is supposed to debut at the end of 2019, which would be great. But I'm not seeing anything other than the one spot that said it was limited. Everything is just saying new Picard series when I Google it. So
I think might have been.
I think it might have just been a mistype.
Yeah. Or some assumptions that just say that.
You mean people talking crap?
Oh, yeah, that's the internet.
See, the most frustrating thing is I mean, going back to the whole people, certain things online and stuff like that, I just searched YouTube for this week's series, episode 2 trailer. And guess what comes up, first of all?
Sludge.
Yeah. We've got 1, 2, 3 videos, all done by the people that, you know.
But that's,
to be fair, I mean, on YouTube before, I'm accused of being like, oh wow, you know, it's because it does better. To be fair, the first thing that does pop up actually is 3 official trailers for Discovery Series 2.
Yeah, but one thing I gotta say, you know, something that developed in the last few years is the monetization of fandom. Like, these guys, like, they don't care about the quality of the content. All they care about is like the Patreon money and the super chat money from YouTube Live, and that sweet ad revenue. So they can talk crap all they want as long as they have people to listen and who want their own little echo chamber. You know, that's what keeps them going. It's the money. Because I can tell you, if it wasn't for, you know, if it,
I mean,
wasn't
David,
that,
you run a YouTube channel, don't you? I mean, have
That's
you
right.
found like the algorithms and stuff like that seem to be a little bit skewed, or?
Well, I mean, I didn't really even consider monetizing my videos when I first started. It was just doing it for, you know, the love of the actual of Star Trek. You know, all of my videos, I think, show that sort of passion. And when I started to actually, you know, when my YouTube channel started to take off and I started to get the monetization, it's a lot of money. And so I can completely understand why these people want the clickbait, you know, YouTube videos to make up these facts and everything to get as many views as you want, because you can make a ton of money on YouTube if you have the viewership. Mm-hmm. And that's the unfortunate part of YouTube.
There's a lot of crap talk and it generates views. And it's unfortunate because when people watch the crap talk, they tend to subscribe to it, and that person gets more money, and it takes the money away from, you know, good things.
That's right.
It's absolutely unfortunate that that's the way the world works, but it is the way the world works.
I mean, the thing is as well, I mean, it's one, you know, it annoys me a little bit that people watch these videos. And to be fair, I've watched a few.
Oh my, poor
just
you.
To see if anything they say is actually, you know, based in fact. And for an example, one Midnight Edge video, within 10 minutes of watching it, I was just like, but that's wrong. I can Google that, and I know that's wrong. I Googled it, and in, you know, I can't remember which video it was, but I actually came into the comments saying, because that was it. They said something about there's only like 40 million people outside of the USA that subscribe to Netflix. I'm like, are you dense? It's, you know, seriously, are you that dense? And I went online, and within 2 minutes, I came back with a figure of, in total, Netflix has 140 million subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Around 30 million of those, without the figures, so don't go, oh yeah, you're wrong. Where was I? Yeah, about 30 million, I think, are around about in the USA, and I think the rest of it is outside. I think it worked out something like 80 million subscribers outside of the USA alone. And it was all because of, like, they were trying to, like, dismiss the parrot analytics stuff, which, is a little bit questionable, some of the way it's brought together, some of the info, but it's just like, no, I mean, it's just like, if you're going to produce these videos, you've got to be basing it in fact. You cannot, because I could go and produce a YouTube video, say I've got inside sources and I can't reveal them because they've signed an NDA and they could get fired, and I could make up so much crap.
That's right.
Yeah. You know,
and that's why I refuse to do anything like that. I refuse to touch on the naysayer subject in any of my videos. I try to keep everything positive, and I check every single thing that I say in those videos. I do tons of research just to make sure it's not fake news.
I hate that term.
So do I. I mean, in the UK,
I hate
we
the
tend
term
to get
but
too
it's
much
true.
of it. But it's just, seriously, I don't know whether it's a certain location that tend to believe people like that, but I just don't.
The deep web.
Well, there's a psychological element to it. It's called, confirmation bias. It's people will want to hear what they want to believe.
That's right.
If they don't like Discovery, and if it doesn't fit in their narrow view of what Star Trek should be, of course, they won't listen to you if you say it's successful, it's working, and it's bringing new folks. They will listen to people with all the doom and gloom and say like it's crap, and that it's normal human behavior, and unfortunately it's ingrained in our nature.
I just don't understand, how people can be so dense.
Oh, well.
It's because
but then that's just me.
They don't go out do their own research. They rely on everybody else, and they believe anything that they hear that slightly fits their view. That's what it boils down to. It's laziness.
I mean, it brings me kind of like to tie in, and I swore I wasn't going to do this. But the whole Axanar thing, where there is two different sets of two sides to the the thing. But one thing I will say that Carlos does do is he does research it, and there are times where I've pointed out something's wrong, and he's gone and edited it. Now, if you go to certain other people and say, "Oh no, I can tell you that's wrong," and you present the evidence, you get told that it's not right, and you're just lying and whatever. It's just like, no, I'm sorry, that's not the way the world works.
Mm-hmm.
But
on that note, probably why don't we go ahead and shift this to a more positive light?
Yes.
I'm listening to. I can just hear everybody crying right now. We're being so depressing.
I actually had some.
I was going to say I have a topic that that might bring people back to the table, but go right ahead.
I mentioned earlier I had a little bit of news about our favorite place in the world, which is the Star Trek Original Series set tour.
Yes,
we announced this week that a special guest will make its appearance for the third time. I'm talking about Mr. William Holy Fuck It Shatner. Coming back to Ticonderoga on June 7th, and tickets are going to be in sale in 2 weeks.
I know what I'm saving up for.
Get a hotel room right now. Like, don't wait for tickets. There are not a lot of hotel rooms in Ticonderoga.
Oh, just make it a day trip.
Yeah, if you're close enough. But because we got screwed. First year of Trekconderoga. Not first year, but our first year was 2 years ago. We waited last minute, and we had to take a hotel which was like 45 or half an hour away from there.
Oof.
Because it's a small town. So even if you're not 100% sure, grab a hotel.
See, at least you lot can actually quite easily just, hop on a train or like a very short plane trip. For me to go to somewhere like that, it would cost me so much money.
I know.
Well, I've got a spare room that you can.
Yeah, no, but it's just the flights and stuff like that. And flights and
I can stash you in a boat or something. Great.
It's like I was looking at Las Vegas. It's not so much the trip to Las Vegas that would cost me the money, because that's probably about 500 quid. I think it was that I looked at the plane tickets and stuff like that. And the hotel wasn't that expensive. It's actual admittance for Las Vegas Con itself. But it's just like I worked out it'd be like $3,000 I'd need just to go for like a 4-day convention. It's just like I just couldn't never justify the expense.
It's 5 days actually now.
Is it? Okay. Well, I just even then I could.
Yeah. But still, I had to point it out. And at least you're not getting screwed by the U.S. You're not getting screwed by the U.S. dollar. We are. Canadians, we're getting. Yeah, that was an expensive trip last year.
That's another topic for another day. But just the set tour, just to bring it back to the the focus. I mean, I went June of this year, and it was phenomenal. I mean, I know it's expensive for people that live overseas, in other countries. If you do have the opportunity to save to go, it's amazing to just be there. It's like walking onto history.
Yeah. And I want to say also, so they were talking about Shatner. There are some folks that are big names that are coming. I can't say who. I actually do really have actual trusted sources.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I could speak to James and ask what's going on and stuff like that. I mean, it's well, that's one thing I do like about James. He's very approachable when it comes to the set tour and stuff like that. So,
oh my God, the man! You can walk right up to the man at the set tour and have a 15-minute conversation with him, and he won't say nothing negative about it.
Oh,
the
yeah.
man's an absolute gentleman.
Speaking
The
of,
first-
the
first thing I did when I met
Go ahead.
the first thing I did when I met him was the first question that came out of my mouth after I thanked him for his time and energy put into it. First question that come out of my mouth was, how much of this was actually from New Voyages, and there was no wall or anything there. He just came out and said it. And the man is absolutely approachable.
Because what I wanted to say is there's another event that he's putting. I don't have any dates, but it's in the branch of the, because they are starting their Star Trek Academy, the movie Academy thing.
The Star Trek Film Academy.
Yeah, exactly. So in that spirit, they are going to do a special event based around costuming, featuring James in his very probably extensive collection of screen-used. I'm hearing keyboards here.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to find some more information about something. That's all. Sorry.
Yeah, but,
Just speaking on the screen-used stuff, when I was there, June, I was actually there to witness James actually receiving the screen-used uniform that Leonard Nimoy wore on the Final Frontier, the Final Frontier, when they're going up and down the turbolift shaft. And he called us over, and he lifts up the collar, and it's got El Nimoy written right there, and it's like, I have no words right now, but holy crap! But it was amazing. It's absolutely amazing. You never know what you're going to see when you get up to Ticonderoga. The set's there, but you could also be watching him open up a box of something from CBS.
but so if you want to learn about costumings, we're still looking forward to a date, hopefully, because here in Quebec we have a holiday around June 24th. That's called Saint Jean Baptiste, and for the last 2 years there has been such special events during that weekend. So we're hoping it's in that weekend, because it would fit our third year in a row we're going on that specific weekend. plus Ticonderoga in late August. So, but yeah, so because I'm actually having uniforms being sewn up right now by we are blessed having a very talented costumer / seamstress. She does theater costumes, and we researched some fabric and gave her patterns from Bad Wolf costumes, and she's doing an amazing. She did an amazing scant for us, TNG season 1 scant male version, and I would like to bring her up to that event and see here's how here's some original used costumes. Here's to not to tell her how to do her job, but to there's something, because she's not a Star Trek fan, so to see the costumes up close and personal, the way they're made, and because I'm a sucker for screen accuracy, so it's an expensive habit.
I've always wanted a uniform, but then I've debated about getting one made, but it's just as expensive as to buy one, so it's just
fabric is expensive, and then you have the whole dyeing process, which is
dyeing. Who's the red shirt? Sorry, lame joke.
So in other Star Trek news this week, we've got the 9th anniversary of Star Trek Online coming up.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Get yourself a scout ship, a Vulcan scout ship. That do you remember the episode in Discovery, the one where we see Sarek on his ship?
Yeah.
You're able to get your hands on one of them.
Ooh.
And the funniest thing is they've also got something that about a month or so ago you could sign up for a Dr. Tardigrade.
Yeah, I got one. I haven't. I subscribed to it. I haven't logged into the game since, but
now I'm going to share a link in the chat. You can actually buy. They're so cute. Actually buy in the Low-Buy store, Low-Buy, whatever.
Low-Buy.
One of the 5 that or all 5, I'm guessing.
Oh, the one's got a little party hat on. That's
they're so cute.
One man's cute is another man's repulsive.
Well.
I'm not a fan of the tardigrade. It just not my favorite Trek alien.
Think, with the only gross part to me is kind of the mouth part. Otherwise, it's kind of cute, but the mouth is kind of but.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
When the new expansion, Age of Discovery, came out, one of the first things I did was buy the kit pack thing that they had with the scale, the scalable ship and everything like that. And I've had to get myself a tardigrade pet. It's so cute when it runs around and chases you and everything like that.
I've actually got a question about Age of Discovery. Did they actually update it with more missions? Because when I only played it when it first came out, it only had like the 3 that you played in that era, and then you went to the 25th century.
Yeah. No, that was a bit of a.
But now there's actually Mirror a Discovery coming, I think next week.
Yeah,
this
that's not a mission. Though.
Tomorrow.
That's not a mission though. Isn't that like a Red Alert thing? Like the Borg invasions that they had.
Story arc, Mirror Discovery has been added to the missions journal. You get to go.
Do you have to be? Is it like you have to be Super Admiral to go get those missions, or?
It's 2 missions by the look of it, but the reason why this expansion was different, and instead of it all being crammed into one, is because they want this to be the start of something that runs alongside Trek on TV.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about it being so slow with the content, because I think the whole of November was just an event. Battle of the Binary Stars. Although the event was it was awesome because you got to hear Michelle Yeoh's voice and Takuvma's voice and stuff like that. It got a little bit tedious after a while.
Oh yeah, that's MMOs for you. I mean,
that's true.
To be fair, I mean, STO has come a long way since it launched 9 years ago. Originally, it launched, it was all rating, and it went for the the dialogue stuff, and the choices that you can make were very static and very linear, and space combat was clunky, but it was the best part of the game. And now we've got full-blown voiced dialogue, multiple RPG trees you can go down for paths. The space combat's so fluid, and even the ground combat has seen some love, in terms of making it better. So it's definitely come a long way.
Got to give a shout out to Thomas Marone. He's one of the designers, one of the UI and ship designers. I met him last year at was it 2 years ago at Ticonderoga. He was very, very dedicated Star Trek fan, and he's lucky enough to work on that. And the people working on Star Trek Online are, again,
I mean, Al Riviera, who's the head guy of it, I don't think, with the exception of John from CBS, John Van Sitters, I don't think I've ever met anyone who's a bigger Trek nerd.
Yeah. Speaking of, and John Vassars, who recently got a promotion. It's still a bit of old news, but he got promoted to VP of Star Trek development at CBS. So I mean, we got good people taking care of our beloved franchise, and it's in good hands.
Absolutely. No, I have faith in CBS that they know what they're doing. But no matter how many times we say that, there's always going to be the naysayers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
From my point of view, I can only speak for myself. I trust CBS to know what they're doing, despite some hiccups along the way. Excuse me.
See, I mean, I think the reason why I don't have so much of an issue when it comes to CBS and Star Trek is because it's run by John. And like I said, he is such a massive Trek nerd. It's untrue.
Now, you guys have met these gentlemen in person or just corresponded?
Well, I haven't corresponded a lot with him on Twitter, but you can see the way he interacts with people online, especially on the Twitterverse, on the Trek Twitterverse, I guess you can say that.
Trekiverse.
Trekiverse, tweet Trekiverse. But just the way he interacts with the authors, the actors, and the producing staff, and some of the fans also. I remember I got a few replies from him back in the day, so he's a genuine fan. But one thing that actually James saying like one thing that puts me I wouldn't say put me at ease, but I remember you gotta remember Star Trek. Whatever you want to believe, whatever you think it is, Star Trek is a product. It's a product made by a company. It is not a philosophy. It is not a way of life. It is.
How dare you judge a Trek?
I know, right? But you got to keep that. One thing that Star Trek is a reflection of the current era it's being aired in.
Absolutely.
And I think it's doing a very interesting. I would say like an interesting job of doing that right now.
I love it when people moan about the whole social justice thing about Star Trek. It's like, have you ever watched Star Trek?
Dude,
exactly.
Seriously, Star Trek has been like social justice since 1966.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed in the way it shows. So, addresses the whole aspect of social justice. But it's like, if you've missed that entire point of Star Trek, you really do not know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and how can you hold Star Trek, especially next gen, to such a high regard if you all you do is listen to far right talking points? It's beyond me. I mean, just the episode where Riker falls in love with like the non-gendered species, which
that was a very interesting episode.
Oh yeah, I mean, I it was interesting that Frakes said like he kind of regretted that they didn't have the balls to cast a male actor in that role, because that would have been a even bigger point, but still.
The Outcast episode?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was an amazing episode. I know a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah, well, I wonder why.
But then,
honestly, there were worse episodes out there. That one actually explored a social justice issue that not only was, semi-relevant at the time. I don't think it was as highly publicized as it is now. But going back and watching it nowadays, holy God, talk about reaching the core of what's going on nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, there's cogenitor as well in Enterprise. That's just touches on the whole. I think of I don't want to say transsexual, but I kind of.
Well, when you
it's hard to maybe asexual. It's hard because they never touch on whether it's. I guess the whole maybe asexual. Thinking about it, because they never touch on the whole what is the gender of the third gender.
But what I think the issue is Star Trek has never been like super on the nose about except like this is not racism with the half white, half black people. Like there are exceptions, but most of the time,
It's like some parts of TOS was pretty racist if you break it down.
Yeah,
but that was the norm back then, unfortunately.
Yeah. But
I mean, and then I don't want people shitting on me because of it, or you're dissing TOS, or if without it nothing would have come after it. Okay, fair, yes, and I'm not saying it's like unwatchable, but if you compare some of it to, like the whole half white, half black faces, I mean, that brings me back to the whole topic of minstrels. Now, we're not talking about the chocolate sweets here. We're talking about people who were white. They used to paint their face, black and stuff like that. You could never do that in this day and age. And why would you want to do something like that? It's because it is just inherently racist.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. But the thing is, what I wanted to say is like a lot of Star Trek has always been kind of subtle about the social issues and the links to current affairs. And I think
you wanted opinions, and watching Discovery, it wasn't subtle at all. I mean, look at Stamets and Culber. I mean, that was I'm not complaining. I like their character dynamic. I like them as characters. Love the actors. But that was clearly a blatant slap in the face that, hey, we're going to put a gay couple on Star Trek. Deal with it, haters. And it wasn't subtle like it was in the past. And I'm not complaining.
The thing is, though, I mean, in a way, I kind of get that because it was but it wasn't in your face. It wasn't. They were just depicting a normal relationship. I mean, I'm in a relationship with my partner. I've been with him for like 8 years, and you kind of you do things like that, brush your teeth together, and have your little quirky moments and stuff like that. I think the way they did it was obvious, but not so obvious that it bordered on some of the trope that you see in other series where they introduce a gay character or whatever, and then they got the
high squeaky voice, and they're always about fashion, that kind of thing.
They are professionals doing their jobs, and that links me to something that happened to me last year, I think. I responded on Twitter to Marin Cordry. She's a manager at the Star Trek Archive in product development, and she was asking, like, what was your favorite scene in Discovery? And I responded, like, the toothbrush scene. And I want to read you, like, she sent me by mail, like, not only this, well, you can't see that, but you'll see it on Facebook, wonderful little note along with some Star Trek goodies. And like she said, thanks for sharing your disco memory with me. The toothbrush scene is a favorite of mine as well. I'm hoping for more scenes like it, where love is found in the tiniest of gestures, told with purpose and vision through Trekian storytelling.
That's definitely a good way to put it. Absolutely.
And
I've always felt that Trek missed the boat with homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that back in Deep Space Nine, there was the whole thing that Garrick was going to be gay and interested in Dr. Bashir.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do that. And then they had to tone down the Jadzia lesbian aspect in that episode. And then in Voyager, they were going to introduce a gay character, and that never happened. And then Enterprise, the same rumor, and that didn't happen. And that really
was supposed to be Malcolm Reed, wasn't it? In Enterprise.
Yes, that's right. And they really missed the boat on that because, this progressive series that is always so forward-thinking didn't really have that representation that should have been back then. And then if you were to look at Discovery now, if that had existed, it would have been something that was just normal.
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Because
now people are like, oh my God, there's a homosexual. And they're obviously homosexual because, they touch each other. And they're affronted by this. And I find that absolutely ridiculous if you're a true Star Trek fan to think that way.
Well, it just doesn't make sense. And I mean, I know there are a lot of other people that, would probably disagree and, and even probably go as far as pathetically unliking the page and, in protest or whatever. But if you watch something as progressive as Star Trek and you still hold the narrow views of things like homosexuality is wrong or, race is wrong, I mean, Well, politely, you quite, you can unlike the page. I really don't care, because as far as I'm concerned, you don't
for you
deserve.
The thing is,
to use a Star Trek line, with all due respect, there's the door.
But thing is, a lot of these people, it's like they don't mind gays, and they don't, just not in their face. It's kind of like 80s and 70s gays in TV. It's like seen not heard, basically.
Yeah, but what is in your face? That is such a weird term, because straight relationships have been in everybody's face since the beginning of time.
There you go.
Since the beginning of television. So saying in your face, what, because they exist? I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and
I do think that's pretty much, what people expect. They expect you to be seen and not heard. Now it's like, I remember when I was younger, and my mum used to say, oh, you should be seen and not heard in certain situations, like when you go to a funeral or something like that, you shouldn't be loud and stuff. But I mean, I'm sorry, but I have just as much right to be who I am as anyone else. So
exactly. And I mean, way back when in the 60s, the Uhura character, that was the same problem. She should be seen and not heard. We can't give her the command chair because she's a black woman.
But I think I have maybe one example of like too much, like even me, I found like too much in your face. It was in Star Trek Phase 2. Remember the
Kirk's nephew?
Yeah, that was a little overdone. Even like, I'm gay. I had like, and even there, I found it was a little kind of over the top.
See, my thing with it was not hitting on the actor, but he did kind of play it over the top.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was well written. It's just overacted.
Which one are you talking about? Bobby Rice or the guy who played his partner?
I think Bobby Rice. Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby Rice. I mean, the partner was a little over the top, but he toned it down about halfway through the episode. I would have chalked that up to directional changes, but the guy that actually played Peter Kirk in New Voyages, he was a little over the top, but
still good. But yeah, even me, like he could make a gay man cringe. Just
there's plenty of times where I'm like, no, I really don't want to see it. And I think that's more to do with the fact that it's because people are, especially like on TV, there's the reason why I think the reason it works on Discovery is because it is not in your face.
Yeah.
But inherently on TV, it doesn't matter whether it's in a gay-centered TV series or whatever. There's always the stereotypical. And that is just, I don't want to see it, because that's not how, you've got no right to depict everyone like that.
That's right.
Which going back to Discovery, the toothbrush scene, it was not over the top. It wasn't stereotypical. It was everyday life.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was so, well, to me, that was why it was so important to see, because they understood that we aren't just flamboyant, over the top people that are fickle. That there is more to us.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And to be honest, it's if there's one thing that kept me in the closet for a long time, it's those stereotypes. It's not like the fear of being judged. Like, my parents are like they don't care. Like, but it was, do I have to live up to those stereotypes? Like, do I have to be like all cut and Twinkie and not the not the food item, but the actual term twink, which Google it up.
Yeah, we're not going to start talking about things like that.
No, let's
but
not.
the thing is, like, if I would have had stuff like the toothbrush scene when I was younger, it would have helped me be more comfortable with who I am.
Now, another thing, just bringing it back to what we saw in season 2, episode 1, of something just being normal everyday life, was Stamets wearing, I want to call it the hollow emitter on his temple, and he was mourning over the loss of Culbert, and that was great. I put that on the same level as the toothbrush scene. They showed a moment of love, and now it's a moment of love, but
grief.
through mourning,
Yeah.
and there needs to be more normalization of that thing and less stereotypes being shown on the screen.
Yeah.
And I believe Discovery thus far, and most likely going forward, is going to handle this topic well.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be like.
Yeah, suddenly Stamets pulls out his feather boa and goes around the ship to 70s.
I mean, there was even that episode, the one with Mud. I can't remember the name of the episode now.
The one where they constantly rewound time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stamets didn't like to dance.
Yeah.
You know, it's that again. You know, was a throws sort of like the whole stereotypical thing out the window, because, you know, if they was like the stereotypical, you know, gay person, then he would have loved to have danced and, you know, been all flamboyant about it. But no, he was someone that didn't like to dance, and again, it was important.
Just want to mention, like, Star Trek Discovery annual comic book is very, very good. It's basically it goes around their relationship before Discovery, and it's very, very, you know, it shows you know how, you know, the whole Caecilian opera, like sharing like how they met up, and how basically I think it's called, I'd have to reread it, but Culber kind of convinced him to join Starfleet. And there's a lot of backstory, a very interesting backstory to that whole love story in that comic book, and I suggest you go read it if you wish.
Well, it'll be linked in. You know, actually, do we have a link for it that we can put in there?
We can manage that. Basically, Star Trek Discovery Annual #1. Basically, there you go. IDW Publishing. Yep, there you go. I'll put the link in the chat here. So yeah, if you want to know more about their previous about their relationship prior to Discovery. Whoa, that was a chair creak.
Yeah, that's my lovely desk chair that I need to replace. I'm just trying to think what I was going to say now. So yeah, I'm not with it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Well, James, one thing we're missing in this podcast is you wanted to introduce the show and explain why we're doing it.
Basically, my whole idea behind it is just so we can have discussions like this live, and also be a voice of positivity, because there seems to be so much, you know, especially about Star Trek that's now and going forward. Everyone seems to be latching onto it in a non so positive way, and it just started to irk me a bit, and I was just like, no, you know, there's got to be a few more voices out there where people will be like, you know, well, if it's bad, it's bad, if it's good, you know. But I didn't want it to be just another let's sit around and talk about certain things. It was, you know, just a general discussion more than anything.
Yeah.
And just to be a bit more positive.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with that 100%. Well, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, we've been talking for like 2 hours and a half now, like almost 2 hours and a half.
Yeah.
Hey, let's be fair. Most pilot episodes, they usually go movie length, and we are definitely at movie length.
So true.
I mean, it's good chatting with you, gents. I look forward to the next time if you'll have me on. I know I ran my mouth quite a bit tonight.
I mean, I'm starting to wonder how it would have turned out if it would have been just James and me, and I think it would have been a little less fun. So I'm glad you guys joined up.
Yeah, I mean, the more the merrier. That was another reason as well. I wanted it to be more of a round table discussion. It wasn't just because, I mean, a lot of podcasts and stuff are either just one person sitting in front of a mic or two people or whatever. But I wanted it to be more of a anyone can join sort of thing. It's not just, you know, these are the two hosts. Yeah, okay, me and JP will be doing it most weeks and that sort of thing. But anyone's welcome to join and talk, you know, either via joining us on Skype or whatever. But yeah, the more the merrier.
And James, you subscribed to that idea I gave you this afternoon?
What was that?
I proposed the 48-hour marathon of reading /fiction.
Oh, God.
You can do that if you want. I did say, though, that I would read a certain person's Picard and Riker fan fiction, didn't I? I did say that I would read that, but although I'd have to track it down again, but I do think that would be quite interesting.
Well, you know, I think that would be an interesting project, you know. Yeah, that would certainly gather attention.
Yeah, maybe from the wrong sort of people, but... No, seriously, it was when I first read it because someone was like, "You've got to read this. You've got to read this." I was like, "Okay, okay," but just to put it into context, Riker and Picard have more of a intimate relationship.
Okay,
well,
but not in a. Yeah, no, it was weird, messed up.
One thing we will have to read is I remember back, I think it was the first or second Trekkies documentary, they talked about Mistress Janeway. There was a whole series, and they actually received like action figures that were modified with a little whip of Mistress Janeway in the after hours, and you know I would absolutely start with that. So, if anyone is still listening to this podcast past this second hour of a live show, and you want to hear me, James, or you know anyone else from the team read to you the adventures of Mistress Janeway and her naughty crew, be sure to let us know.
I'll sign me up now.
On that note,
no, just quickly because I've just come across this article.
Oh yeah. Oh,
they
true.
think this is why I'm posting it in, or this website.
Michael Burnham and Spock totally boned.
Oh.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's what they think.
Well,
Scream
you
at
know, it
Spock.
was kind
The
of...
theory is Spock has feelings for his foster sister.
You know what? Up to what we've seen so far...
It's possible. It's plausible.
It's certainly possible and plausible.
I don't
think though.
Discovery
could push enough boundaries, but let's not push that.
Let's go to incest.
Well, it's not even incest, is it?
Well, it's not incest, but it's close enough.
Yeah, no, it would just be. But then there was that thing, and we're completely going off in a tangent, and we will end in a minute. But there was that people were posting a picture of Michael Burnham that kissing a bloke with a beard. It was so obviously Tyler.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, "Oh, she's kissing Spock." It's just like, oh my god.
It's a case of seeing what you want to see.
Yes.
Well, you know, thing is, Sarek wanted Spock to learn empathy from Michael, and you know, there might have been a line that was crossed somewhere.
I really hope they don't.
Yeah, I don't think. I
mean, not because it's the whole incest thing, because it's not. I mean, it really isn't. But
it's close enough for me.
It isn't, but it is. It's close enough.
It's almost as cringy as when. Janeway and Paris had alien babies.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That was just... But you see, I'd still rather watch Threshold than I would certain episodes of the original series.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh.
And on that note...
You can leave. Yes. I can go on.
Yes, I do. I do have to unfortunately bow out. It is 9:30 p.m. and I drive a school bus for a living, and I have to be up at 5:40 in the morning. So I has to go night now.
I see,
Right,
Jeff.
we'll wrap it up then. So we'll be back next week.
Oh, absolutely. I'm there.
And again, anyone's welcome to join. One thing I will say though, if you're going to join and then you start trolling, because it's an open invitation to anyone. It's not just, you have to be in the same clique of people. If you come and you start trolling, I will make your life a living hell.
He will.
That's
and if
scary.
you think you troll, I am a king at trolling people. You just have to go onto the official Star Trek Facebook page and see the people that start trolling about Discovery to know how much I can troll back.
Oh.
No laughter there from people.
I see those posts every day.
Yes, every day.
I have to say, when I get on Facebook, that is probably one of the highlights of my day. I just open up Facebook and say, "Oh, who has James trolled today?"
And then I don't go out of my way to do it, but it's just like, when they just post the same crap over and over and over again. It's just like, well, if you can play that game, I can play it too.
I think one of my favorite ones that you constantly use is, "And here we go."
It's obvious. Thing you say, the other day that I was, it came up on my newsfeed notification, and it was like about 2 minutes in, and I was just like reading it, what it was and stuff. And within those 2 minutes, it was a case of there was about 20 comments, and it was a mixture of like good and bad and stuff, but it was just the same stuff over again.
Yeah. As I said, it's confirmation bias. It's just people wanted to give the same. It's like, people think their opinion matters.
I mean, all opinions matter. It's
Yes.
Some,
but
should
it's
not
the
be
internet.
vocalized.
It doesn't. No, it's the internet.
Well, that's why I said, I mean, all opinions matter. It's just some should not be vocalized.
Oh, well, there's that.
Well, like they say, everyone's got an arsehole, but it's true. Everyone's got an opinion. Well, everyone's got an arsehole. Everyone's got a mouth. It doesn't make yours any more or any less special than mine.
So many comments could be coming from that, but I'm going to refrain.
Yeah, no, well, but it's true though, isn't it? I mean, it's a case of what makes your opinion any more special than anyone else's. Everyone has an opinion, whether your opinion is right or wrong, or whether it's, complete and utter stupidity. It's a case of, well, why should I not have an opinion on something? Why should, prime example is, why shouldn't I like Discovery? Give me a good enough reason why I shouldn't like Discovery. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of things that you like that I won't like, but
Exactly.
I'm not going to go out of my way to tell you're an idiot or a fake fan or, or a paid shill or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotta love that one. Yeah, we're all paid shills. I'm still waiting on my check, CBS.
Yes. That's the best one I think they use. You're just a paid shill. Yeah, okay. If I was paid by CBS, I think I would not drive the car that I drive for a start. And I wouldn't have a mobile phone that is about 4 years old.
Hey, I'm going on 3 on mine. Don't knock them old phones.
Phones are more and more resilient now that they don't force updates that slow down your phone. But
I mean,
unless you're Apple, then you have to update, otherwise they brick your phone.
I mean, I was going total Trek earlier at the beginning of this live stream. I wasn't even using my computer for this live bit. I was using my phone. I was doing total Trek.
And, I got something that I could have used. It's the original series communicator Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, next time we do this, you've got to do that. You've got to talk through that.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess I could use as a microphone. There's a way I could use it because I don't want a speaker to interfere. But yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's kind of, after like 2 hours of holding that thing close to your mouth to speak, it's getting tedious on the arm.
No. You don't hold it up there. Just get some duct tape. Wrap it around your neck.
That would be a bit painful on his beard.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
who said he had to duct tape it to his beard? I mean, he's got a forehead, doesn't he?
This is true. This is true.
God,
Anyway, on that note, I think we should wrap it up and say cheerio to everyone.
Absolutely, and I would like to say, I mean, as it's open invitation, as it is open invitation, maybe we should, if anybody wants to pitch us topics that they want us to hear talk about next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And James will be happy to tell you to F off.
Yeah.
I mean, to be serious, I mean, like I said, anyone is welcome to join.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There is no criteria. But just don't come to troll, because I will make your life a living hell. That's not the whole idea of it. This whole idea is to be positive and, constructively.
And, bring an air of community to the whole thing that's supposed to be. And,
it's not, this isn't another angry voice. This is, there'll be times where things get a little bit heated and we will try and dismiss and dispel some of the crap that comes out from people's mouths when, it's just crap. But the whole idea is for it to be an open platform for people to talk, and it doesn't always have to be positive, in regards to rainbows and butterflies, but just don't be expecting, nice greetings if you're going to come here and just completely crap on Star Trek in general, because that's not the whole reason behind it.
And on this note, it's been JP and Jeff, James, and David on Treksphere Live, first episode ever, and hopefully there'll be much more to come. So thank you for listening. And have a nice day.